Next, we're going to go ahead and call Mr. Jim Ziegler up to talk to us a little bit about his Plan Z. And with that, I'm just going to hand it over.
Thank you, Natalie, and thank you, Patriots. It's great to be back right here where it all started. When the legislature reconvenes on March 5th, they are going to take up a bill for a gas tax increase. It has not been released yet, but chances are that on Wednesday it may be released. Governor Ivey's having a speech about infrastructure. She's having one Wednesday and one Friday. And we'll probably see exactly what it says. We are expecting a proposal for 12 cents a gallon increase in your gasoline tax. We're also expecting that there will be a number of measures for greater accountability and to try to make better use of the highway funds. That part, of course, is a good thing. We need more accountability. We need highway funds used for highways and bridges, not for salaries, hiring friends, secretaries, redecorating the office, things that aren't highways or bridges. And we have an awful lot of that goes on. I have found as I've traveled across the state, the average person and some of the politicians do not have confidence in the Alabama Department of Transportation, ALDOT. They think that they waste money, and I agree with that. Looking at all this, over the past 6 months, I have put together a plan to fund Alabama's highway needs without the gas tax increase. And I named it Plan Z. Now, where did I come up with that? Plan Z. It simply stands for zero tax increase and zero road congestion. That's where the Z comes from. I'm sure that's exactly what you thought. Plan Z has 5 parts. Number 1, stop the diversion of $63.5 million a year from highway funds to other things. For over a decade, highway funds have been diverted for other purposes. This is your gas tax, supposed to be used for the highway fund. And it's been over $300 million of diversion over a period of time, and it is continuing to this day. So, number 1, stop that. Use the gas tax for the highway fund, use the highway fund for highways. Seems like a no-brainer. But all across the state, I hear legislators saying, well, I'm being open-minded about the gas tax. I'm going to look at all the facts. But I don't hear anybody saying, I'm being open-minded about stopping that diversion and using the highway fund for highways. I want to hear some of you gentlemen saying, we need to stop that diversion. What's happening is those that want the gas tax, the various people and interests, are going to put the legislators in a very awkward position. It hasn't manifested itself yet, but you watch, here it comes. They're asking the legislators to do this. We don't have enough money in the highway fund. We need more money. But in the meantime, $300 million has been diverted out of the highway funds. Doesn't that put our legislators in a very awkward situation? You can't, with a straight face, say, oh, that diversion's okay. Just spend the highway funds for other things, but we need more money in it. You just can't have it both ways. All right, so number 1, stop that $63.5 million a year diversion. 2, use that $63.5 million a year in one of three ways, or a combination of the three ways, for our legitimate highway needs. And we do have highway and bridge needs. Either one, a pay-as-you-go plan. Many counties have very successfully used a pay-as-you-go road plan. Or two, use the $63.5 million to pay for a 20-year bond issue, which would raise an estimated $950 million, almost $1 billion now, up front for the long-term investment in highways and bridges. Three, use either the $63.5 million each year if you do the pay-as-you-go, or the $950 million if you do the bond issue, or some combination, to match the Trump infrastructure program. And we've got the link to that program in your copy of Plan Z. The Trump infrastructure program is coming. We've got some indications as to what it'll be, and basically it appears that we can double our money. If we have $950 million, we can end up effectively with $1.9 billion, and that's real money. And that would solve an awful lot of the highway needs. Now, three, direct all of this money to highways and bridges. Cut out all these extraneous things that waste the money. Cut it out. The legislature could very seriously, through legislation and through better oversight, direct the highway money to highways and bridges. Four, conduct a complete management audit of the Alabama Department of Transportation. As far as I know, it's never been done. Management audit is different from the audit that you normally think about, where you want to see if the books balance and all the figures are right. That's not what it is. It's a functional audit. What is the money going for? Are there programs that are duplicative, that waste money? Where could efficiency improvements be made? We need badly a management audit of ALDOT. And then five, how are we going to make up to the general fund the $63.5 million that we just dinged the general fund for by stopping this taking from Peter to pay Paul? That's what they've been doing for all these years. They've been taking from Peter to pay Paul, and they've been taking exactly $63.5 million the last few years. In the earlier years, it was different amounts, but that's what it ended up being. We're going to stop taking from Peter to pay Paul, but now Paul is short. How are we going to make up that $63.5? And here they are. Number one, the economy in Alabama, the economy in the nation is improving, and it's expected to continue improving under the Trump administration and the KIV administration, such that this year the general fund revenues are $23 million more than last fiscal year. That's just a one-year difference. Two, Medicaid. Because the economy is doing better, fewer people have to go on Medicaid. Fewer people need that and qualify for that benefit. Because of that and several other factors, Medicaid surprised everybody by requesting $40 million this year less. That's a word you don't hear much in Montgomery, do you? Less. $40 million. Now, let's do the Common Core math here. If you add $23 million in greater revenues to the general fund and $40 million that Medicaid has saved from last year to this, what do you get? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I enjoyed talking. So that's Plan Z. Now, Plan Z is a work in progress. It has changed since January 18th when I first sent it to the leadership of the House and Senate, and a lot of the changes have been because of input from members of the legislature. I'm not sure that it was their intention to improve Plan Z, to make it look better, to make it stronger, but they did. And I just wondered if maybe I should put them down as co-authors of Plan Z. I would have to ask their permission to do that, and I don't think they would want to do that. But what maybe was meant as criticism of Plan Z, I took as constructive criticism. They were acting as unpaid free consultants, and I adopted those ideas into Plan Z. It looks a bit different from the first version and from this last version, and it will continue to be a work in progress. Now, why, as a state auditor, am I doing this? Has anybody wondered that? Clyde, if you wanted to know. Because nobody else was doing it. Half the things that I do, the reason I go out and do them is ain't nobody else doing them. So I feel led to go do it, so I went out and did it. So that is Plan Z, and it is a way to get a lot of money. $1.9 billion is a lot of money for Alabama roads. There are other savings possibilities, and about twice a week, somebody, normally either an honest state employee, that's not a contradiction of terms, by the way, that's the majority. An honest state employee will call me and say, hey, there's $5 million over here that you could save, and they tell me why and how. So I've become a lightning rod receiving these reports from contractors with the state employees, retired state employees, and just normal citizens like you. And if it's enough money, we'll include it in Plan Z before this is over, so we can come up with a lot of money for the highway funds without the gas tax increase. Now, normally, we conservatives make a strategic mistake, and I'm equally guilty of this. Our reaction to a tax proposal is just vote no. Just be against. We don't want to pay it. We're taxed enough already. That's what Tea Party stands for. When the price of gas goes back up to where it was, it's going to be a double whammy on those that are on a limited budget. All those things are true. And there's a lot of waste in government. But that's not our best strategic position. Like Nancy Reagan, just say no. Our best chance of prevailing is to have an alternative. If the needs on I-65 are real, and they are, if the needs on 565, where the 4,000 new jobs are coming in between Huntsville and I-65, if those needs are real, if the needs here in Elmore County are real, how are you going to fund those needs? Plan Z. Thank you, Natalie.
Did anyone have any questions for Jim? Anybody? Any clarification? Go ahead, Becky.
Just one question for the making up of the $64 million. That would only work for 1 year, correct? The surplus with Medicaid and having a good year. We'd have to have that every year, right?
That's right. We don't know that Medicaid will save another $40 million, will save the same $40 million next year. They may not. There's some things coming down the pike that indicate that it go back in the other direction. We don't know that the general fund revenues will increase. You never know that, though. That's a reason we have annual budgeting. But I believe that every year there's savings possibilities available, and maybe it won't be those two next year. Now, we've got another one in Plan Z. You may have noticed there's a third thing on the makeup revenues, and that is this new online sales tax. It's in place. It's a done deal. It's not going to be a new tax coming. It's already here. It is the growingest revenue source in state government, and it will continue to grow. And so we're looking at an estimated additional $85 million a year, and it will continue to, that one will continue to go up. But yes, the 40 million savings was just this year, and the 23 million additional revenue was just this year. So you spotted an awkward part of the plan. I knew you would.